Coming up on this episode of the Village Idiom.
Skeptical about some things.
Chiropractors.
Okay.
My friend was like chiropractors. He's like, gotta go chiropractor, gotta go to chiropractor. Like, I'm not doing it. But then I went and I felt great. And then I'm like, I stand corrected.
Okay, that one wins.
Village Idiom.
Hello and welcome to the Village Idiom.
We are a podcast that every week we choose a popular saying. We take a shallow, hopefully comedic dive into its usage, its origins, its background.
Meaning.
But we also use it to hang our otherwise directionless conversation on. My name is Jurassic Mark.
And I am Didymus.
Is it Didymus or Didymus?
Didymus. Either way, I'll take it. It's,
I don't know. Did you miss?
Once Didymus. Twice shy.
Okay.
Is that another idiom?
That's something.
I don't know.
That's good.
Anyways, happy Easters.
Yes, we are approaching
to all of our legitimate children there.
Now, what day is it today? Is it Good Friday?
Well, today is Fantastic Thursday.
No, but I'm wondering, when is this actually coming out?
On Fantastic Thursday.
Oh, okay.
You got Ash Wednesday, Fantastic Thursday.
Shouldn't it be
Good
a TH
Friday.
word? Like fantastic?
Fantastic Thursday.
Can't even hear a difference. Fantastic Thursday.
To all of our legitimate children with speech impediments out there.
I'm going to turn all of us up again.
Sure.
There we go. It's just a little low reading on there.
Okay, we got it all good. Well, anyways, I am Skinny. It's a fantastic day in the ranch. We are heading into the Easters this season.
We are indeed, and it's an exciting time of year. Like it is a big one in our world.
It's the biggest. It is. It's our holiday.
Is it? Yeah,
it's bigger than Christmas.
It is bigger than Christmas, but I don't think it's celebrated as big as Christmas.
We could swap.
It should.
We could move.
It should be.
We could swap this whole thing around.
Here's a question for you.
Sure.
Before we get into okay, we're Christians.
Most of the time.
Two of us.
We try.
The two of us in the room have religious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to take the lid off my drink.
Mm-hmm. I know, it's okay. Continue.
You don't want me to? Am I shaking the whole table?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, people are going to wonder if we're in the middle of a roller coaster. We're trying up some new things in the space today. Bizarrest thing, there was an enormous fire, but not in the building, but close to the building. And it messed with some things. So we're just dealing with that and the smoke and et cetera, et cetera. So, but we're fine.
Okay,
fine.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
So why do we call it Easter? I know why, but why do we still call it Easter?
I don't even know why we call it Easter.
Because we took over we Christians way back when took over the celebration of the pagan goddess Easter. I can't remember the full name.
This sounds like Jack Black when you do it.
Easter.
I've had diarrheas since Easter's.
So it comes from a pagan holiday called something else. The word Easter is not Hebrew. It's not Greek. Well,
Eastervis.
Well, actually, it might be
Eastervis,
Greek, but it's not Christian. So why is our biggest celebration named after a pagan ritual, pagan goddess?
Well, we're trying to rope in everybody. We're not just like this snobby exclusive club. We love everybody. And, if you had a pagan holiday that you loved and, just come on, bring that in to our Easters.
Anyway, just a question. I
what would you call it instead?
I don't know. Christmas so Christmas was originally something else. At least the December 25th part of Christmas was something else, and Christians started celebrating different, and it became Christ's Mass, Christmas.
So what would you call this particular season?
Would it just be another Christ's Mass?
Well, it sounds like
we did do that.
Everything that you would want to add to it makes it sound like a heavy metal Norwegian band, like Death Cross or something.
What is Good Friday? It lines up with the Passover, right?
Well,
so why not just call it crossover?
Well, that would be perfect for Easter's then, because it's a crossover event.
That's what I'm saying.
With the pagans.
That's my new name.
Crossover. We could have hot cross buns,
which is already an Easter.
Oh yeah, see?
Yeah. I'm kind of hanging it on, no pun intended, the cross.
Yeah.
And so, anything cross related.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can go crossover. Now, I just had a chance to go to this...
CrossFit.
Okay. Cross stitching.
Cross lacrosse for the Canadians?
for the French. Absolutely.
What were you going to say?
We did this. There's this the Stations of the Cross thing.
Did you go to it?
I went to the Stations of the Cross.
At the school?
Yeah, at the nearby school.
I went yesterday.
Oh, I went today.
I went with my daughter yesterday.
I went by myself today.
I went yesterday.
The day back.
I actually, surprisingly, I don't know if it's because I was reading it out loud to my daughter and trying to connect the dots for it to be a meaningful experience to her, but I was crazy emotional through the whole thing.
It was fantastic to kind of like reinvigorate. So I've had a chance to go to, in Jerusalem, they have like the Via Dolorosa, like the path that Christ walked, and it's kind of like they've got, it's not a station.
That sounds Italian. Why do we call it that now? That's not Hebrew. It's not English. Why
it's taken from the pagans. They do all the fun stuff.
The Easters went down the Via Dolorosa.
It's a Via Dolorosa. Yeah, that would be
Yahweh Rose.
Yeah, no, you go to hell for saying that.
Oh,
and so have it Yahweh. Yeah, it's Yahweh or the highway. Okay,
highway to hell.
Okay, so and so you try and hit off on like these kind of precious moments, the beginning from the entrance to the garden to the fall of man, and and go through all the way ending up at the cross. And so these 10 stations of the cross, and it's meaningful. It was like it's like and because they all had interactive things.
I was just going to say, with this particular one, there was something interactive, like ponder this in your life. Who have you not forgiven? What is something heavy in your life? Carry this rock around as you think about it.
Right.
Reading about Pontius Pilate washing his hands, of being responsible for the judgment, and then somebody pours water on your hands and you wash it. Like, what does it feel to rid yourself? Like, is there a time in your life where you had to rid yourself of the responsibilities of, like, it was every single moment was personalizing it, not trivializing it. And
it wasn't a trivial pursuit. At all.
And then the surprise Easter bunny at the end.
That's what got me. When you're like in that final station and it's like, oh, put the stone in the water, and then the bunny comes through. Crazy.
Okay, for anybody wondering, the bunny didn't happen.
It's a pagan thing. It's inclusive.
Yeah.
No, so this was non-inclusive, very Christian-y. It was just like, look at that.
P.S. This is not a Christian program that we're doing today.
No.
But it is almost Easter. It's meaningful to us. And it's also the reason
it's Fantastic Thursday.
Why it's one of the reasons why we ended up on the idiom du jour, which
yeah.
I can't see what I'm doing here. Different setup here, which leads us to...
Oh, a Doubting.Thomas, are you?
A Doubting.Thomas.
A Doubting.Thomas.
I think there's that healthy part of like skepticism.
Interesting. So
where it's like, oh, I'm like, so Doubting.Thomas. I know we'll get into some origins. I have a sneaky suspicion without.
Yeah, I didn't even play the game today. I'm not going to give you 3 options.
You see, in Germany,
Dave Thomas from Wendy's thought he could really make a dent.
We could use rabbit meat. Trying to wrap in all the festive things and dip it in chocolate. So yeah, that skeptical part of like a person, because you're like, you don't want to be duped. No. And what I find so fantastic is we can't keep track of stuff that's happening in real time in the news in the world right now.
Yeah.
Never mind the events of 2,000 years ago.
Right.
And so it's like, well, there's room for...
So I tried to Google, and maybe you got something fun here, but I tried to Google, and I have a list of things we'll talk about in a bit, but I tried to Google things that are worthy of doubt. And every time you type in the word doubt, up comes self-doubt. And I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, doubting something. Then, of course, like you said, then I stumbled accidentally, but was kind of like, duh, of course, of the word skeptic. Like, what are people skeptical of? And there is healthy skepticism. Like, you should take things with a grain of salt depending on the source. Or you should at least, especially in this part of the world, be able to research yourself. Like you're not required to just
So I ended up coming around because when I put in doubt and then it popped up no doubt. Gwen Stefani, Gwen from Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a superhero. Jesus is my superhero, and so that's where it
full circle.
Yeah, it all came around. It's really weird.
Wow,
interesting Google search.
Yeah, and that brought you to the word skeptic.
And skeptic somewhere wasn't there. Well, I think if people like doubting Thomas because he wanted to like prove he's like. I want to put my hands in your side, Jesus. I want to examine the holes in your hand to like prove that this is you, which goes to like Thomas proving that Jesus was a holy man.
No, I'm not even giving an audible response. I'm shaking my head in silence.
Well, of course. See,
holy man and holy God.
My version. See, I picture Jesus in like a tuxedo suit. He's having a good time.
Yeah.
And so I see him going, "That's stupid." And then there's the other person's version of Jesus that's like, "You'll be smote on your ride home."
Yeah, smite me, oh mighty smiter.
Yeah. So
yeah. There you go. So, but I feel like you keep interrupting yourself. The things that you're healthily skeptical about. Wow, I had a difficult time with those words. Healthily skeptical about
that you completed grade 10 English.
Right. Okay. I thought you were pulling, like you kept looking at your phone like you were pulling up a list or something. So this is what I found, and you can interrupt me if you do have something. But so I was like, I was trying to find like a top 10 list of there's reasons for any human to be skeptical about some things.
Chiropractors.
Okay.
My friend was like chiropractors. He's like, gotta go to chiropractor. Like, I'm not doing it. But then I went and I felt great. And then I'm like, I stand corrected.
Okay, that one wins. I like that one. That's fantastic. So there's reasons for everybody to be skeptical about some things, but then there are skeptics who are just like that about everything. So I thought,
I don't believe most.
What are the things that have the most conspiracy theories or have brought attention by skeptics? So like the moon landing, that was top of the list.
Sure.
Where there are just skeptics or flat earthers, like those kinds of things. They're conspiracy because it draws a certain type of skeptical person. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't mean that everything on this list is legit and there's just conspiracies against it or they think it's a hoax. Some things might actually be worth being a skeptic about. But so I'll just rattle through. They're not in any particular order, but the moon landing came up right away.
Sure. So like on the moon landing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yes, the moon landing happened, but was there an issue? Did they add to it with alternate pictures that weren't real? And so it was like, so there's varying versions of skepticism, not just that it happened in a sound studio, somewhere in Burbank, but...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like it did happen, but they've elaborated.
Right.
Versus it never happened.
Right. So there's varying versions of skepticism. You're like, so like with the events of the world right now, I'm like, I think like anything's possible. So like I don't trust anything.
So one thing I looked
I'm like
up...
skeptical of every...
Not in preparation for today, but one thing that I looked up a while back when I'm like, why do people doubt the moon landing? I don't get it. Like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, oh, well, there's a flag on the moon. Like, can you see the flag?
Do you see the shadow of the flag? Oh, it's pointing in the wrong direction.
Can you see the flag from any man-made telescope? The answer is no. None of the telescopes can see the flag. That seems like something you should be able to see. You can see the craters and stuff, and pretty detailed.
Well, it's simple. Like a cosmic storm came, blew it over.
Okay, but if you were Buzz or Neil, if we were up there, it wouldn't have been just an American flag. It would have been like
Neil
line up all the stones so that from the Earth you can see. Oh, this is gonna be hilarious. SOS.
That's a big giant help sign, like what's it, like Tom Hanks on the
Earth. This many more miles. You're so close.
It's like Marvin the Martian.
Okay, next one obviously that came up was the 9/11. All the conspiracies that are around 9/11.
So, again, it's like buildings fell, people died, horrible. But when you watch like some of these things, you're like, So I didn't wear it today. Had I known we were going on this angle, I wear my Building 7 shirt.
Yeah.
Talking about Building 7 from the and then all like the way that the jet fuel at this temperature, has the ability to melt steel, but it's like in science experiments afterwards, jet fuel can't be superheated to the point of causing metal fatigue, but thermite can. And you start going down these rabbit trails. You're like, do I believe it's possible? I don't.
Princess Diana's death, murder or accident?
Accident. But still dead. The part that was messed up is that in order to protect her funeral plot, they put out landmines all around it.
Is this a real thing?
No. But it's because she was dead. The joke, I have to explain it. It's not good.
Oh, what did I miss?
It's just because one of her advocacy thing was
reading
landmines.
I forgot about that.
Anyways.
The other one that I didn't know was to the degree that it is was not the only other one, but there's a whole list here, was Paul McCartney's death. So remember in 1960, whatever. Well, we don't remember.
Alive.
Yeah, so he's on tour, he's everything. Yeah. But there was the Sgt. Pepper album. Was it called Sgt. Pepper?
Sure.
Where it has a fake funeral, and there were subliminal messages in the album that Paul is dead. And so...
That ball is dead. Right. Ball is dead.
So there was all these little Easter eggs back then saying that Paul died.
Easter eggs.
Now here's where it gets interesting, is there's a whole world of people that believe that even though Paul McCartney is around to this day, that believe that he really did die in 1960, I don't even remember, 6, I think, and they hired a lookalike, and that's who's been Paul McCartney ever since.
Wow.
Like, there's reasons to be skeptic about news you hear.
Well,
JFK's assassination, all the crazy stuff there, Roswell.
Reveal. Just tell us. Stop. It's been like 70-something years.
There's racial ones, like, have you ever heard of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion?
No.
Yeah, you can go down that rabbit hole on your own, but It was propaganda put out, anti-Semitic propaganda way back in the day. And, chemtrails, Obama's birth certificate, like, it's endless. Just these things of, like, do we need to, like, those are...
Well, you go like, oh, chemtrails, that sounds stupid. There's no way an airline would do that. And then you read, there's some other article about scientists believe we can control the heating of the earth by emitting some spray into the atmosphere. You're like, chemtrails is possible.
So I heard a funny
Ivory soap isn't 100%
I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about, so basically like the Matrix, us being batteries for our own mental world that we've created.
Sure.
The question was this.
I'm a D, but continue.
Can you imagine that that's even remotely possible? Even in the future, can you imagine that it's possible
this is a simulation? Sure.
That it's a simulation. So they said, here's the conclusion. If you can imagine that it is possible, it's more likely that it's happening right now.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
Right.
on the theoretical level. Like I'm a person of faith, but I still love me some science fiction.
Right.
And so is it possible that this is all just some big elaborate... Sure.
There you go. The one that got me, and then we'll drop it, we'll move on to origins, was that that birds aren't real.
Okay.
Birds aren't real. So the birds aren't real conspiracy is a movement developed by Peter McKindow, who started spreading the idea only in 2017. Until a December 2021 interview in the New York Times, McKindow stayed in character as a true believer, insisting that media interviews and online that birds are not real, but they are surveillance drones made by the U.S. government. Birds aren't real. They had a staff. They had organized real-life protests. They bought billboards and blazoned vans with the claim. And then the goal, says McKindow, was to parody the misinformation that Gen Z finds itself stewing in. So he made it all up. It went for 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever I said, just to create a false conspiracy to watch people flock, no pun intended, to it. And birds aren't real. They're government drones.
So I could go with birds are real, but is it possible to have some sort of
Is it possible
drone?
Some birds... Have you seen that new drone that lands on branches like a bird?
So, like, do I think it's possible? So, birds, I'm going to go with birds real. Is it possible to have a drone mimic a bird, I'm like, probably possible.
I think it'd be wiser to have drone flies and literally...
Like a dragonfly.
Just house flies, because you can literally be a house on the wall. I mean, a fly on the wall.
A house on the fly, yeah.
You can be a fly on the wall to any conversation you want. Because, if there's a bee in the room, you're going to track it down, hunt it until that thing's dead. A fly, you're like, that's annoying. A fly parked up high, I'll get it later. Like, if they could get a believable housefly.
Well, this is why people go crazy and wear tinfoil hats. Like,
because of the flies.
A bird, I could see. Like, just the level of micro surveillance equipment necessary to jam into. You couldn't get it to transmit. Doesn't even make sense. What's the battery source for this thing? Now you're talking about some sort of level of fusion or fission, and you just don't get me started on that, Mark.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, let's get into this.
Sure.
No one can know. I turned around and looked behind.
Nothing but professionalism. All right. Well, as you guessed it, as the whole world knows, Doubting Thomas. So, what is Doubting Thomas? How do you use it as an idiom?
I'd like to believe something, but I've got some healthy skepticism about it.
Until you can have some sort of personal experience.
I want to have a personal experience with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, as we all expected, it comes from specifically the book of John, usually, from the portion of the Bible. So Jesus has resurrected, and the disciples and others have seen him. Thomas has been busy at work or recording his podcast, whatever he's been doing. Mm-hmm. He's missed seeing his Lord and Savior. Mm-hmm. And so, I'll read it right out here. John chapter 20, starting at verse 24. Now Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin. He didn't call the twin. He was called the twin. Was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see his hands, the mark of the nails, and place my fingers into the mark of the nails, and place my hand into his side, I will never believe." 8 days later, his disciples were inside again, and Thomas was with them. Although the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, and see my hands. Put out your hand, and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe." Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to him, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." So, did you hear the rooster outside? Mm-hmm. It's funny. Easter's Thomas doubting him and Peter denying him.
If it does it 2 more times, that's not good for us.
No, it's denying 3 times. One grow.
Oh, I see. No, isn't the rooster crows 3 times?
No, you will deny me 3 times. It did just crow again.
That's 2. That's not good for us. I take back every terrible thing I said in this podcast that maybe you can misconstrue before it goes 3 times.
So
I apologize, Jesus. So so Thomas called Didymus, and Thomas meaning twin, and Didymus also meaning twin,
right?
Which is it's funny.
So I'd like to know how that was written. Was it written Hebrew Greek? Like, why does it say it twice?
I don't know.
It's like saying my son twin, who's a twin.
We just call him,
why'd you call him twin? And who was Thomas's brother?
Rin twin.
Their last name is Tin. You got Rin and twin. Rin and twin. Rin and twin. I can't even do it. What was it? What were we saying?
You're asking about his family.
Yeah.
Brothers.
So where's Thomas's brother? Like, poor guy. I blame the brother, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, why is Thomas so doubtful? It's got to be a big, older bully brother.
Emotionally scarred somehow.
Yeah.
Emotional damage.
So he won't believe until he touches him, and Jesus allows him to touch the holes in his hands. And the scripture doesn't say, and I found a lot of actual, not controversy, but debate over whether he did indeed reach into his side, or if it was just said.
Like Mortal Kombat.
So, but here we're going to derail for a second here, because...
Perfect.
Now, bear in mind, this is not me preaching. This is me asking questions. This is me...
Are you going to ask me for money at the end?
No.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with, like, what I believe. This is just me observing story of Jesus and his resurrection. So one of the great things, the story of Doubting Thomas and the fact that it's included in Scripture is that it's actually evidence of the resurrection. It's one of several evidences, because if it were a hoax, it's doubtful that it would have been included in the text. To include a doubting close person would have been bad information.
But that's nuts. I want the reality. I want the real people. I want the guys like, this all seems crazy.
That's what I'm saying. That if this were a hoax, they wouldn't have included these details about Thomas. So scholars and theologians believe the story of Thomas to be irrefutable evidence that, there's tons of other evidences, but here's what's interesting to me. So here's Jesus in his resurrected body. You know from studying crucifixions that people who were crucified were often unrecognizable as human while they were on the cross. They were so beaten and whipped and slashed and torn apart. So it's safe to believe that those weren't the only scars he would have had, is on his hands and side. The side representing the sword
of course,
that impaled him.
He was beaten. He was whipped.
Right. So when he came into the room...
they cast lots for his clothes.
So when he came into the room as a resurrected Jesus stands in front of the disciples and now Thomas, would he have been scarred all over? Would he still look?
Okay, well, there's...
Because when
the resurrected body... that you have there's a new body. Is it a repaired body, or is it just these things in specific because they relate to his death? But he could also walk through walls, or
at least appear in the center of the room. However he did that.
However that happened, normal flesh and blood can't quite do that.
Right. So why was the scars hands and side just for Thomas, or did he retain scars? And if he did retain scars, is that why earlier in the story, when the women are walking along and he's walking along with them and they didn't recognize him, is it because he kept those scars? Or did he hide himself from them?
Or, you know how sometimes when you're walking along the street, you might notice somebody and you'll look at them, but as soon as they look at you, then you look away because you don't want them thinking that you were staring at them.
They never actually made contact?
Maybe it was that kind of situation.
Could be.
Like they're walking along and it's like, oh, he looked. Okay, look away. Don't look. And then they didn't recognize them.
Yeah,
it's possible. In terms of back to or to mash these all together with the inclusion of Thomas and skepticism, because there are books not in the Bible, like the Infancy Gospel of Thomas. That's not a book not included in our Bible because it's got some crazy stories like Jesus cursing people and bringing them back to life and then killing them again.
Yeah.
These kind of fantastic stories.
Legends.
Yeah, so they didn't include them. They're like, this isn't like, these are bizarre writings. You got the Acts of Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas as like another.
That'd be a good comic book series. The Acts of Thomas, but it's like
AXE.
Yeah,
he just walks around.
The Acts of Thomas.
Get down. So, so in terms of like that healthy skepticism, like even.
Does that stop the camera if I get a call?
This is a fancy question.
Let's see what happens when the call stops. Will we still be on the screen? This is great for those of you who are just listening in the audio.
So what's happening here
would be even better is if that showed up in the video. Yeah, we're not recording now. Airplane mode.
So fascinatingly, on this particular episode, which we will not be shaking the table on, is that we filmed this one on the phone, which we don't always do.
We don't always do that. And then I got a phone call.
And then we got a phone call. So.
And it was my daughter, which means it
could be important.
No,
or it could be something about Michael Jackson.
Right. Or it could happen again in 5 seconds.
Okay.
At which point I'll put it on airplane mode and continue filming.
So
anyway,
however, all this unfolds itself, that there was writings that they were skeptical of. They're like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Like back 2,000 years ago, as you know, the manuscripts are being put together and writings happen. They're like, this doesn't sound right. So it's like, Jesus, whatever, some argument. I'm trying to just recall off the top of my head how it all went. I think it was that he was accused of pushing somebody who ended up dying, pushing a kid who ended up dying. The parents are like, hey, you pushed my kid? And this happened. And Jesus is like, no, I didn't. And resurrects him so that the kid can say, no, it wasn't him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then tells him to go back to sleep again,
and dies again,
and kills him. Yeah, or
oh my goodness,
kills him or tells him to sleep.
Yeah,
so it's like that doesn't sound quite like Jesus.
I mean, it's very. It doesn't. You don't have to dig too deep to realize that the historical writings, especially when you realize the amazing stories of miracles and multitudes and things that can be proven that happened historically. It's not amazing that when there's miracles involved, that there would also be legends added to it.
Right, like Jesus and the dragon.
Right.
There's all sorts of crazy stuff.
Right.
That's not
so,
included.
in fact, if you want to talk about legends and bring it back to Doubting.Thomas, there is a spin-off legend about Doubting.Thomas regarding the Assumption of Mary. And why do they use the word assumption?
I won't make any assumptions about her.
For ascension. So the Assumption of Mary is her not dying, but...
that seems like a drastic thing to claim.
Right. This isn't in the Bible either.
It's an assumption.
It's right. But the word
That's
assumption...
maybe why they call it assumption.
The word assumption here means to be taken up. And so Mary is taken up into heaven, and...
that's not in the Bible.
That is not in the Bible, but it is believed. So it is believed in Catholicism that Mary was taken up, that she lived a life of perfection similar to Jesus. So in the story of the Assumption of Mary, there were other apostles present. Thomas is once again has missed the occasion, being on his way back from his mission to India. So the Virgin Mary, aware of Thomas's skeptical nature, appeared to him individually and drops the girdle. It's called the girdle of Thomas, which is just a belt.
This sounds like a D&D thing that's happening right now.
Right. She drops the cloth belt.
What's the armor class on this girdle?
She gives it to Thomas as proof of what he had seen. So now it gets more interesting. I'm
going to say that there's a +3 to Mary's
I don't know
AC
D&D.
level.
I'm sure this is funny to D&D players, but I don't get it.
Okay, whatever.
So, but here's where it goes further, and this girdle of Thomas and this artifact
and the belt of chastity for the Virgin Mary
is categorized in the most things I could find under legend. Yet, the supposed girdle itself, the Sacra Cintola, is a physical relic that exists today of the Prato Cathedral.
We need to go to see this.
And they are saying it is the belt that Mary dropped from the heavens that Thomas caught, and they present it still to this day 5 times a year.
I bet he'd have been embarrassed. It's like, here's my girdle. It's like, he's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And he's
so legends do exist.
Have this lady's girdle.
He's still doubting Thomas, so he lives up to his name, but that is also not in the Bible. I'm not sure where you can find those writings.
Well, the Catholics do have, like, there's some...
Cause maybe it's in the Apocrypha, but I don't think so. Because
when we started going through some of these lore on like first class, second class, third class relics, it's very, Keanu Reeves, Constantine.
Yeah.
It gets pretty out there pretty quick.
Right.
But Thomas did, evangelize India as part of, that was part of his life allotment. I think his death was death by spear. I think he was speared.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's not all funny. It's sometimes it's interesting, and sometimes it's not even that.
This is turning into one of our longer ones. So
is it? We should finish
So
off.
let me play this.
I have to admit, I was a Doubting Thomas.
Yeah, and I was Mrs. Doubting.Thomas.
Do you recognize any of that?
No.
This is the Brady Bunch. Oh. So, all right. Well, guess what?
We need to finish this thing off. What time is it even? Oh
It's
my
this time.
goodness. It's Riddling
Riddling
time.
is a game we like to play. It takes 2-part trivia-based questions, requires a 2-part overlapping answer. So, for example, oh man, did I close my notes?
No, you're good.
Here we go. For example, last week, which was a great episode, The Ivory Tower, excuse me, we left you with this riddling. A Tusky steeple for Dr. Robert Schuller. A Tusky steeple. So our idiom was Ivory Tower.
I've got Ivory Tower of Power.
That's it.
Okay.
So Ivory Tower, and his television show was called Hour of Power. So Ivory Tower of Power. And that's how you play Riddling.
If you've made it this long, special shout outs to some of our beloved Village Idiom children. We love hearing from you. Karen Hurston, we love hearing from you. The Baroness. Who else we got on the list? Clint. Jaylene, we love knowing that some of you guys are just super supportive, and Beetle Bat. Who else is jumping in? Dang,
Wonder Bread. Did you say Wonder Bread?
Wonder Bread.
Maniac.
Yeah, we got lots of illegitimate kids, so would love hearing
Just
from you.
Chris.
Just Chris. That guy's hilarious. So yeah, we'd love hearing from you, and please jump in, send us your answers when it comes time, and here we go. I'm gonna go first.
You go first.
Okay. Oh my.
No? You're not ready? You want me to go first?
No, I got one. This is a three-parter.
Oh.
You ready?
Yeah.
Gwen Stefani's band asking this biblical skeptic to invent a phonograph.
That's fantastic. I got it. Read it again.
Okay, legitimate
Going
children.
for the triple.
Gwen Stefani's band asking this biblical skeptic to invent a phonograph.
That would be no doubting Thomas Edison.
That's it.
No doubt. Doubting Thomas Edison. That's great. Goes for the triple.
Triple header, boys.
All right, let's see if you can get this one. Which one should I give you? I'll give you this one.
Okay.
This biblical character questioned the resurrection, but was the full name of this Stonewall of a Confederate general. This biblical character questioned the resurrection, but was the full name of this Stonewall of a Confederate general.
You say Stonewall as in Stonewall Jackson. I'm going to go with Doubting Thomas Jefferson.
Doubting Thomas Jackson. Nice. So close.
Stonewall Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay. So Doubting Thomas Jackson.
Doubting Thomas Jackson. That's it.
Never trust my instincts. Okay, here we go. The second one. Oh, this is special. I was thinking of you as I was preparing this. This genre of traditional quartet Christian music is an apocryphal, non-biblical book.
I'm trying to make it work.
This genre of traditional quartet Christian
Southern
music
Gospel.
is an apocryphal, non-biblical book.
Infancy Gospels.
Oh, there was like three that I mentioned. It was yeah. But you're on the right track.
I see what you're saying. Okay. So let's go with Southern Gospel of Thomas.
It's the Southern Gospel of Thomas.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
Boom, 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 boom.
Well, I've got one more. I actually have two more in case, because I suspected we'd double up on something.
In case we doubled up on the Thomas Edison? Okay.
We'll give the good one to everybody else out there. How can they play along?
Oh, well, the legitimate children.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Bring
that on you.
We would absolutely love to hear from you on Instagram at the.village.idiom, or email us thevillageidiompodcast@gmail.com, or whether it's the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Twitters, or whatever other piece of cesspool you enjoy social mediaing on, at 3 minutes gone.
All right, here it is. Wally Cleaver just wouldn't believe.
That's so tight.
Wally Cleaver just wouldn't believe. That's it.
And that is 3 minutes gone.
What do you think?
That's good. That's tight.
Do you know it?
I think I got half.
Yeah, you got to Google it. It's a Googler.
Wow.
Googler.
It's such a tight question. When it's so few words, it's impressive. Anywho. Well, it was fun putting today's episode together. Sorry to ramble on. Happy Easters to you all. Have an amazing, enjoy your ham or whatever
Hot cross buns.
Hot cross buns. All these Good Friday, Easter, Sunday. Have a fun time with your family.
Are you wishing everyone a happy Easter with a burp thrown in there?
A little bit. But still much love to you. I'm Skinny.
I'm Jurassic Park.
And these are the Village Idioms.
I'm a doubting Thomas.
That's 3 minutes gone.